Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. With anybody else, I wouldn't do this, but this is the guy who thinks like this.
What do you mean do? What do you mean you? What do you mean believe? And what do you mean God? And
If this isn't language OCD, I don't know what is.
when I'm speaking, or for that matter, when I'm writing, I feel out every word and every phrase and every sentence.
You have to take what Jordan Peterson says seriously, because for him, language is a weapon.
It's the most powerful weapon you can possibly provide someone with. And if you can formulate your arguments coherently, God, people give you money, they give you opportunities, you have influence. Here's your sword, here's your M16, right? Here's your bulletproof vest. Like, you learn how to use them.
So even when he makes a mistake in speech, say like in that condescending message to Muslims clip, he admits it was actually planned.
What was your intention with this video exactly?
To start a dialogue stupidly and badly. Because that's how you have to start them.
So I wasn't surprised when he opened with this.
I journeyed with a Daily Wire Plus film crew, including Ben Shapiro, to Temple Mount, or El Haram El Sharif El Aqsa Mosque.
He starts nobly enough by not taking sides. He first uses the Jewish name, the Temple Mount, then the Muslim name, Al-Aqsa, so he's fully aware of the symbolic significance of names in relation to a temporal idea, how names symbolize ownership. So far, uncontroversial. But he only uses both names at the start. Take note, this is crucial, because I'm going to argue that he is up to something very sneaky and sly. From now on, he is not going to use the name the Temple Mount, not once. So when he talks about the site in a negative light, say like here,
I was not storming El Aqsa. But in another manner, perhaps I was. There are prohibitions against prayer on the El Aqsa site. Christians and Jews are not allowed to pray there.
he calls it Al-Aqsa.
At El Aqsa. And I was endeavoring not to subjugate myself to unnecessary tyranny while I walked and talked, trying not to be a craven slave.
Again, he calls it Al-Aqsa.
Is it improper for me to offer a hand or a prayer to help her along? And so I could feel a spirit of compulsion and force at work there at El Aqsa.
Once again, he calls it Al-Aqsa. So remember at the start he gave you two names, effectively two options, Al-Aqsa or the Temple Mount, but now every time he's saying something negative, he's only using Al-Aqsa. Now you might say, bro, look, you're being paranoid. There's nothing sinister about it. He's using Al-Aqsa because he's addressing Muslims, and he did open with both names, so he's trying to be fair to all sides. I would agree with you if the whole story ended here, but I want you to wait till the very end before you make your mind up, and also please try and keep in mind what language means to him.
When you think about how you use words, then you can see that you're using them often as tools so that for a purpose, right? The words have a purpose, and so the word is a tool.
I'm putting it to you that he's deliberately creating the impression that whatever bad stuff happens at the holy site is purely down to the Muslims. He goes all in on using a language of moral desecration. Just listen to what he's saying about his traumatizing experience at the Al-Aqsa.
Subjugate tyranny, craven slave, forbidding spirit, compulsion and force. Compelled prohibitions against prayer, slavery and subjugation, tyranny, tyrannical.
Whereas conversely, and I would say intentionally, he veils himself, his life-affirming experience, his Judeo-Christian experience in a language of self-righteous indignation.
And trying to tell the truth, trying to do that playfully, serving the highest good. I was praying of those who endeavor to tell the truth in a playful manner while aiming at peace and life more abundant, is to do so in the spirit of true prayer, to forthrightly encounter tragedy. And
what he's ultimately doing is he's using words and language to paint a stark picture for his viewers, which he hopes will resonate with them in spite of themselves, because
a word is a low-resolution image. A word is a good enough approximation of the thing that it's representing, sort of like a thumbnail.
So on the one side, he's set out the forces of evil, and on the other, the forces of good, and obviously, he's the Messiah. Frankly, it's pure Bible. Good versus bad, heaven versus hell, angels versus demons. So with clips like Message to Muslims, various discussions with Muslims, he's using language to engineer a shift in attitude, because he believes language ultimately has the power to influence the world for the better or worse.
The person who makes the best argument and the person who tells the best story wins everything, all the time, period. You want to be educated so you learn how to use language because it makes you competent, powerful, influential. It's everything to master language.
And it's better to change the world with language than with guns.
They make for rough conversations, but they make for a lot rougher streets if you don't talk them out.
And now we get to the crunch. If you've got a Messiah, if you've got heaven, and if you've got hell, then you need a judgment day. What happens on that day? Well, the sinners get punished and the good get rewarded. But Jordan Peterson doesn't believe in a literal judgment day. You experience heaven and hell here on earth. If Muslims don't fix up their act at the Al-Aqsa, i.e. let the Jews and Christians pray there, let women touch men, etc., then judgment will fall on them.
And, to say it one final time, if it is such prayer that is forbidden on Al-Aqsa, then yes, I stormed the Temple Mount.
Did you miss it? Let's hear it again.
If it is such prayer that is forbidden on Al-Aqsa, then yes, I stormed the Temple Mount.
Anybody notice anything here? Yep, he's finally using the Jewish name, the Temple Mount. Because all this time, Al-Aqsa this, Al-Aqsa that, tyranny, slavery, blah blah. All of a sudden, right at the end, why is he calling it the Temple Mount again? I'd argue, with some degree of confidence, this isn't an accident, my brothers and sisters, because notice his voice has also changed to something harsher in tone. It becomes threatening, and I posit it's because it is a threat. He's now laying out a conditional clause, a threat to Muslims. If you don't do A, B, and C, then Al-Aqsa becomes the Temple Mount. He literally says it.
If it is such prayer that is forbidden on Al-Aqsa, then yes, I stormed the Temple Mount. The Temple Mount. The Temple Mount.
Now, instead of explicitly saying it, being the word wizard he is, in a spirit of playfulness and mischief, he's cryptically slipped it in. Now, I remind you, this is the only time he uses the name Temple Mount, apart from at the start when he's laying out the two claims. So, has the man who loves to decipher meaning in epic narratives mischievously played one on us? Now, you can say I'm paranoid, maybe I am, but knowing what I know of Jordan Peterson, knowing how he uses language, his love of symbolism, biblical motif, how careful he is, his avowed desire to change the world with language, I struggle to reach any other conclusion. Although even now, I hope I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm overreading this. And of course, please subscribe and like this video to support my work, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.